Hi, how do you feel about Ethan Klein of H3 Productions?
Obviously, somebody typed it in on this laptop. I agree with that.
How do you feel about Sneako? Kids and this is this a hit piece? Now, no matter what you answer to either of those questions, my claims to fame have been videos tearing down H3, the death of H3 in 2018, and the absolute annihilation of Sneako 2024, the year of our Lord. And so these two characters, obviously, I'm basically known for, tearing them down. And it's interesting because these guys have had a back and forth that I'm interested in exploring. Now, here's what I'll say. I have taken a look at their, back and forth, and it's super surface level. It's just basically mud flinging, more or less. Like, one of them calls each other, a and then the other's like, you're fat, and then the other's like, oh, you know what I mean? I think philosophically, it is kind of interesting to see them interact. H3 is clearly privy to a lot of Sneako's, framing, his shenanigans, okay? The way that he kind of operates, right? And it's fascinating to see H3 basically try to kind of keep Sneako a little bit at a distance, but also to, kind of maintain, dominance or whatever. And so let's just explore those moments, and then I'll kind of give my 2 cents. I think this is going to be just fun, just fun to see. This all started, I believe, with, oddly enough, H3 reaching out to Sneako to ask for an interview. I remember this came like literally 5 to 6 days after I released the, absolute annihilation of Sneako, which really threw me for a loop. H3 invites Sneako for debate. So here's pretty much what went down, all right? Shortly after I released, I guess, my video. Sneako released this, private DM from the H3 podcast Instagram account, and it basically said, "Hey, our host Ethan Klein would like to invite you onto the show for a debate. Please let us know if this sounds like something you'd be interested in." And then this was Sneako's reaction, his response, I should say.
Hey, Ethan Klein, I'll do your podcast whenever, you fat. As soon as you get down and do 10 push-ups, you think I'm stupid? I think you don't even know how to be happy without serotonin pills. Do 10, I'll do your podcast whenever.
When I saw that response, I was like, okay, I know that this is not going to happen, because obviously H3 is not going to do 10 push-ups, especially not because Sneako asks, but also because obviously Sneako, framing it in this way where it's like, I'll do it if you do this, is him not wanting to actually debate Ethan Klein. Now, why would Sneako not want to debate Ethan Klein? Why would he duck that interview? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that the reason is that Ethan Klein is relatively privy to a lot of how Sneako operates, right? He is someone who would be a good foil against Sneako, right? Because whether you think Ethan Klein is an idiot or you think he's a good interviewer or not, he actually is pretty good at just pretty bluntly pointing out how idiotic some of these, manosphere types are foundationally, right? Or at least how their logic doesn't exactly sync up with reality. And so by going up against an adult, not just like a young person who's not at all educated in any kind of political domain or whatever, Sneako actually views that as potentially a threat, right? It's like, oh, I can't just go onto Jynxzi's podcast, right? That's not what the H3 podcast would be like. I can't just go on there and just yap, right? And to a kid who won't provide that much pushback. If I go on the H3 podcast, it could actually be embarrassing and make me look like an idiot and make my ideas look like dookie, which they are. And so, yeah, I thought it was interesting that he basically declined this, because on paper, I was surprised a little bit, because I figured Sneako was on the arc of like, I'll do anything for attention. But clearly not going to be going into enemy territory to get that attention, at least not willingly, right? And so he's tried to kind of remain in his cozy little bubble, nice and safe and sound in his echo chamber, right? Now, this confrontation has kind of flared up yet again in recent times, with H3 choosing to visit Bradley Martyn on his podcast. Okay, now for those who don't know, Sneako is a regular guest on Bradley Martyn's podcast. I would say it seems like at least that he's friends with Bradley Martyn. They certainly have made content together. Bradley Martyn, very funny in my opinion, at least circumstantially. Bradley Martyn, weirdly, has sparred Sneako, which I can show you. I really started to question Like, what is up with Sneako's brain when he decided to do this? Because what he's exhibiting in choosing to spar someone like Bradley Martyn, who literally has over probably 100 pounds of muscle on Sneako. Like, that's an unbelievable difference. And then also choosing to fight Sean Strickland, you know, getting his teeth punched out by a bouncer. Like, all these violent confrontations that to an extent he's kind of inviting into his life. I realized that this guy is actually pretty foundationally self-destructive, like genuinely reckless, right? And so yes, this was the moment when I realized, oh man, this guy, what the fuck? I thought he was a little bit more calculated than this. Like, I think this guy just actually doesn't consider or care about potential brain damage. I think he actually doesn't think it's real. I think he is lost in his own sauce, but you know, many such cases.
3, 2, 1.
So he's just taking straight headshots from a dude with 100 pounds more muscle than him, without a mouth guard, without headgear, without even like boxing clothes on. And so I'm pretty sure Sneako's gone into this before, but why would he do this? And the answer is very simple. Content. He will kill himself for content. Does that mean he's dedicated to his craft? I mean, yeah, I guess on some levels, you know, on a small dimension, for sure. You can say, respect, man. Clearly you care enough about your craft, whatever. But I also think it's really, truly just a testament to the fact that he is extremely short-sighted, right? That he's actually a reckless guy, that he actually is lost in his own sauce, right? His world is definitely warped. But yeah, let's see him get his tooth chipped, and potentially head trauma.
You got this. Survive.
Okay, and then Bradley Martyn just is feeding them to him. One in the back of the head, one in the jaw. That was also, I think, the back or side of the head.
Get up. 30 seconds.
And like, for what, right? Like, is this actually enriching his boxing, you know, skills? No, bro. This is for content, right? Short-sighted.
3, 2, 1. Sit. Survive.
All right, and you know, on one level for sure, this was a dick move of Bradley Martyn, right? Who I'm assuming claims to be Sneako's friend. I'm not sure, at least acquaintance, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you stepped in the sparring, you know, square with a dude that big, and you pretty much got what you should have expected, which was a beatdown, right? Especially considering that Bradley Martyn's not a professional boxer. Like, what do you expect him to do? Of course, he's just going to lug his weight around. Here's the setup. H3 asked that Steiny guy, who's on the phone with Sneako, to call Sneako and just simply ask him how many people died in the... Okay. And so H3 didn't actually want to talk to Sneako. He didn't want Sneako to know that he was there. He just told this Steiny guy, call Sneako, ask him how many people died, and see his answer. What I thought was somewhat interesting is that it's clear to me that H3 has a... Okay, let me put it like this. On the surface level, at the very least, H3 has like a super not that interesting critique of Sneako to levy, you know, on this podcast. He's basically just completely leaning into the whole, you know, story, which is such a tired story, right? But to H3's credit or whatever, obviously he is not trying to be amicable with Sneako in any sense. He's trying to discredit him to, you know, Bradley Martyn, someone who apparently respects Sneako, right? And so how does H3 go about doing this? He just basically says, yeah, you know, Sneako's like kind of gay, basically, despite hating gays or whatever. And he's not a man, right? And look, that is kind of the NPC, you know, way to go about it, but effective, absolutely effective. By the way, you can only pick that up at gokamerch.com, baby. Alongside these bots right here, little Hubert from the Sneako video. That's crazy. We've actually created this into a real product that you can only purchase at gokamerch.com. Wow. Pick them up while they last. But yeah. So yeah, basically, H3 goes straight for the low blow. Okay, he tries to diminish his rep through these avenues. And I understand why H3 would go this route. It's uninteresting to me, okay? But he's trying to appeal to, you know, kind of normies or whatever. And so he goes about doing it like that, and then he immediately leans into the fact that Sneako is a denier, which is true. It's kind of crazy. Like, they literally pull up the podcast clip on the podcast. Like, this is wild. I'm surprised.
Sneako, I can see that, like, they can be loyal and good friends, right? And so these are admirable qualities in people. That's respectable. And so if they've been good and loyal to you, I totally understand wanting to ride for them. But
right, so he's referencing how Bradley Martyn is friends with Myron Gaines of Fresh and Fit and Sneako. And H3 is basically about to say, but they're pieces of shit.
Ultimately,
I honestly don't know where you see it too. I don't even think Sneako's on Instagram, and that's probably the only app I ever use.
Is there a way I can show you something? Oh, you can. Yeah. Do that one. That one. Yeah.
So the arrangements.
Do you know the
Have you guys
times?
seen this?
The arrangements of our relationship.
Oh my God, you're gonna love this.
I can go and like once in a while use a condom and like, you know, one night stands, whatever, and then she can go on dates, but she doesn't have sex with them. She just likes to be taken out of date.
This is so wild, bro. To be in October or August of 2024, and for 3 dudes to just be looking up at this podcast episode, bro. Holy shit. This will definitely bother Sneako, but holy shit, it's a low blow.
How long ago was this?
Now, probably 3 years.
I don't know. Not that long ago. A few years.
It took a while to get there, but currently that's
What year?
2021.
Yeah, a few years.
Yeah.
I gotta do what I want. So we went to a couple different sex parties. Oh, word!
Is this guy rubbing lotion on his legs?
This gets so good. Trust me.
Okay, bro, we don't need to see this. It's funny and to see the reaction and stuff. Let's see the end of it.
We saw something in that show, Sex Life on Netflix. Like, they went to a swinger party. Like, oh, we could do that. And especially because we do threesomes all the time. She's not even that bisexual. So it's like I kind of feel like she's putting on a show a little bit. So I'm like, if I'm able to go and have one night stand to be have an open relationship, and she can go on dates, this is a place where she can exercise an open relationship. Like, it should be fair that she can take other dick if I'm.
Well, there he's preaching equality. There, you got to agree with him. There.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but this is not the ideology he espouses now. But anyway.
It's certainly not his opinion now either.
He said, "If I'm gonna do it, she gets to do it."
Yeah,
so
certainly
you
not
got
how
to
he
agree.
feels.
There's something we can agree on there.
I'm not
He did
liking
say
any of this.
equality.
I'll be honest.
Keep going, bro. Keep
I
going.
hate all of this.
Keep going. Keep
It's
going.
all
This is honestly,
fucking-
yeah, making me a little uncomfortable. Not gonna
This is
lie.
one of my favorite clips, my friends.
Y'all both knowing that it's happening. So it never mind that anymore. You gotta know. I gotta see it. It could be literally in front of you. It was literally like this far away from you.
Bro, this is so weird. It's so weird to just pull up a clip like this on a podcast. But anyway.
I love how his friends are consistently shocked. That's the most that I've ever heard, dude.
That's what they call it. You sound in bed while she got fucked. I was answering. I mean, we both. I got up. You his girl? I was not.
So pause it. This man was sitting on the bed as his girlfriend was getting railed by King Dong, and like literally crying. Dude, that's like the worst story you could ever dream. And I'm saying, if this happened to me, I would take this to the mother-loving grave. But he's out here like
He owned it. He did own it.
Well,
He did
keep
own
going,
it.
keep going.
I don't want to watch any more of this.
No,
We
come
just-
on,
we get
come
the
on.
gist of it. I think we get the gist
No,
of it. right?
no, you didn't.
Okay.
A little bit more.
She was like, and I was just like, not doing it. And she was like, Dad has left the room. And then she left too, like, luckily. I thought she was going to why are you leaving? I couldn't, like, I was literally having PTSD watching that. I was like having war flat.
It's crazy because this is the clip that Sneako has gotten the most for by a mile. By a mile. This is the common denominator of, like, you know, people pulling this out to be like, f you, bro. And this is the pretty much one of the only segments of my video about Sneako where I kind of give him props, which is crazy. Because even Sneako would be like, fuck you for saying anything good about this. I was a for doing this. You could say he was a but like that's why I respected it. I was like, he actually said this. I was like, wow. That is painful honesty. I can't help but kind of respect it. But anyway.
I just decided you could not do it. So then you got your cheating ways? What position? No. It was missionary legs up. Like missionary legs up, yeah. Oh no. Deep eye contact.
Deep eye contact.
Yeah.
Oh, pause it. That part gets me so bad. Deep eye contact, and she grabs his head and says, I want you to fuck me.
Bro, I thought I got freaky. This is a all way other level for me.
Yeah.
So wild. This is sheesh, man. Dude, imagine this. Imagine one of your enemies, okay? I would say that H3 and Sneako. Sneako probably considers H3 an enemy, okay? Imagine one of your enemies gets to hang out with two of your like decent-ish friends, whatever, and it's live streamed. And it's basically quite literally your enemy getting to sow seeds of like disgust in your, mutuals. It's crazy, bro.
I would never do it. Never. I guess not.
Just a little bit longer. Just like another minute. And then I'll let you guys go on this one. Her toes were curling.
Okay, so let me back up. Before you
Agent and Low, bro. Agent and Low just being accomplices to this.
PTSD about this. Like I had bad dreams about this for like a week. Like I didn't know I was. What? So we showed up to this party and everything, and everybody like we were having drinks, and then all of a sudden snap, everyone's naked, and then on the floor in the bed. There's like 40 people. There's like
40?
30, 40 That's still too many. 15 couples? Where y'all at in the ball? Yeah, 15 couples, 30 balls, yeah. Where y'all at?
He counting the balls, y'all.
Yeah, it's a small room, yeah. It's like a suite, a hotel suite.
This is the part where he teabags another man.
I feel like we gotta call Sneako, dude. Holy shit.
Call him.
Yeah, call him. And ask him first how many died in the Holocaust. Just ask him that.
Notice how he has this rug. Does this not make you feel uncomfortable?
Why? What about it?
Put one and two together.
Bro, it's...
Ethan, come on. I've mentioned this to him 100 times.
He doesn't like the shape of the rug.
The colors, a little bit of the cuts.
What the f*** are you on about? What is it? Just tell.
He thinks it looks like a...
I guess I haven't had that vantage point of it.
Now look at it.
Bro, it's not...
It's
just a random red rug.
That's funny. It's a good bit. I think you're good though. Yeah. Bro, please, for the audience, Steiny had to bow out of this one, but like we're getting to the teabagging part and then we can bail.
We'll come and start watching. So this couple comes in, they start watching, and then I hear his girl say to the boyfriend, like, lick her clit. And so while I'm like, hitting her back, he lays down on the floor and starts licking her. But think about like the logistics of that. Think about the logistics. Like his head is like under, is like 6 inches, like his eyebrows are like tickling the bottom, and I have to like move, like go like that so I don't make contact because his eyebrows are like tickling. You feel what I'm like here with it, like I'm trying to not touch his head, and he was completely okay with it. Like, and
yeah.
You were too? I'm like here, I'm like trying to keep it joking, right? I stopped. Like, I'm like I can't. This is logistically, this is not gonna work.
I mean,
yeah. And then she asked me like,
you missed the teabagging part.
We don't need to rewind.
Yeah, so that, I mean, again, like he's, I think, like overtly homophobic, and that's the gayest I've ever heard. He said that.
Okay, all right. This is so fucking lowbrow, but like, obviously in the clip he's saying he didn't like it. But yeah, I get it. H3 is basically trying to pop his visage, you know?
He said a man was tickling his ball sacks with his eyelashes. Which is cute. Which is cute.
Dude,
You want to call him?
We have two savages here, bro.
Just one thing.
He's a savage, though.
I'm trying to be positivity only right now.
I don't care. Well, see, that's the problem. You invited me.
Yeah, well, we're going to do it.
That's true, man. H3 is certainly not a harbinger of positivity necessarily.
Dude.
But just first question, just ask him without telling him anything. How many died in the hospital?
So funny, man. When worlds collide, my boys. Don't nobody want to see that shit.
Oh man, I hope he answers. Called him earlier.
He's getting, sorry, I'm busy teabagging another man.
Oh my god.
Oh, I can feel your eyelashes tickling my balls right there.
I feel like we need to get a hold of him because it's like he's not
Yeah,
here to defend
can
himself.
can we
Yo. All right, guys, quick orders for the podcast. Green Chef, check this out. Green Chef
Bruh.
have I not?
asking it.
Let me talk to him.
Okay, here.
Yo,
Ask it. Ask it.
you didn't answer my call the other day. I did.
We're on a podcast.
We're on a podcast. I'm staying completely out of this. This is between two people.
Ask it.
Should we have him ask him?
No, not me.
Here.
I don't want him to
Hey,
know.
Ethan is here. Well, do you want me to ask him?
The whole thing is that Ethan wanted Sneako to answer the question without knowing that H3 was present, right? Because he didn't want Sneako to get his guard up, which he immediately does get his guard up, because Sneako is a conscious political actor and understands that he needs to dilute his actual intended message when he is in the presence of, normie adjacent content creators, right? When he's actually, because the whole thing, it's fucked, man. But Sneako has constantly said he wants to break into the mainstream. He wants to break into the mainstream while simultaneously holding some of like the most brutally not mainstream, to put it lightly, opinions or whatever, political fantasies. And the reason he wants to break into the mainstream is actually to feed his ego. That's the real reason. But the reason he claims to want to break into the mainstream, and what would be a result of him breaking into the mainstream, would be to sow seeds among the youth. You know what I mean? Basically to, pill the casual mass on his political ideas, which are regurgitated, half-baked, dog, as H3 will kind of lightly confront on a surface level.
I
I
don't
don't
feel
want
comfortable
to.
asking it.
Okay,
Ask
here.
him?
Yeah.
All right.
Yo, Sneako, I'm gonna tell you
I
this.
didn't want him to know, but yeah, go ahead.
I've showed you mad love this podcast. I've said, yo, Sneako's been
true.
respectful. Have I not?
No, you've talked very kindly of him.
I said, yo, I respect Sneako. He asked me why. I said, yo, he's me since day one. He's never switched up. So I've said that. But he brings us in here, and now
He's been helping me since day one.
we're watching a clip about you talking about a sex party.
Where the part where some dude's eyelashes tickled your balls.
What a dude! H3 gets a nice call from his friend Bradley Martyn. I'm sure he did not expect this circumstance. His enemy is here showing clips like that. Crazy.
You heard
Here,
that.
I want to do this.
He's talking about this video.
Can they
Just
hear
point it
him?
out.
Hold on. Can the audience hear him?
Yeah, if they're on
So he
here.
goes, sorry, what was that? I was like, yeah, you heard me. You heard that.
Okay, what does this have to do with the podcast?
Well, I don't know necessarily how we got here now at this point. I'm a little confused.
Just
but
ask him how many dudes died in the hospital.
Ethan wants me to ask you how many dudes died in the hospital. I have no idea.
Put the phone up to the speaker. Yeah.
Okay, so what does this have to do with the video? You're
Don't
playing?
answer.
What's,
Don't judge.
What is it? I don't
Come on, bro.
what are you
Just
trying to do?
answer.
No, so
He's
because
dodging.
I was saying that he should debate you, and then we started talking about you, and then he started like giving his opinion on you, and then he was.
Tell him instead of playing these clips and trying to do like common snaky tactics, like we could do the debate that he called out for. If he's too afraid to do it, then it's
Ask
fine.
him
Like, he
to
can
stop.
continue to do the same
Can I talk to him?
tactics.
Damn. Okay. All right. So now Sneako is like, okay, bro, stop lowering my swag with my friends. I'll do your fucking debate. We'll do the debate. We'll argue on, your turf. Let's see. What does H3 say? Our boy.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah,
I'll give a fuck.
yeah. Here.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Ouch. Hey, Sneako.
Use the mic.
You called to do this debate.
Sneako, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear him? Is it picking
You just got to
up?
put him like this against the mic.
Where's the speaker on the
It's on the bottom. The bottom.
Oh, the bottom.
Boomer.
Sneako, how many dudes died in the hospital?
We'll do the debate that you all called for whenever you want to do it.
It's such a simple question.
I'm not going to do this on FaceTime with you.
Why?
You know how I feel about what you talk about and everything you do.
How many died in the... Why? That's such a easy... That's like a softball, right?
I mean, I wasn't there. How many...
There you go.
So that's the cope, right? Like, he can't, you know, he doesn't want to give an unfiltered answer, but he also doesn't want to cave, which, you know, the answer that H3 is trying to coax out of him is 6 million, right? And so, yeah, he's basically falling back on the whole, like, bro, I wasn't there, which is obviously just like a cope or like a, you know, cop-out.
You think?
Well, I mean, it's about 6 million, right? Is the general historical estimate.
Yeah, it was exactly that. No more, no less. It was exactly that. Let's do
Wow, that is like, so that's like the dumbest, lowest IQ take ever. Do you really think people are saying, hold on, Sneako, do you really think people are saying that exactly 6 million died? Like, I mean,
exactly that, yeah.
So you're pretty dumb in bad faith if that's where you're starting from.
Bad faith? Dude, go to gokamerch.com right now to pick up the Bad Faith Sands of Time hoodie or something. I don't know. Look, all I'll say is we got these bots, okay? We got these fresh-faced little bots from the Sneako video. You remember this guy? Hubert, dude, from the Sneako video. We're actually selling him, dude. Poorly programmed NPCs. Only at gokamerch.com. So, yeah. That's all I got.
All right, if I'm so dumb, then do the thing that you call for.
You said you weren't at the... So you don't know. You're a Muslim, right?
Look, here's the thing, right? People who fixate on the numbers, whatever. Look, I always think it's just, why do you give a fuck? And look, I get it, right? Like, pursuit of truth. Okay. At the end of the day, the fact remains, these massacres occurred, and they absolutely were targeted at the Jewish populations, okay? If you doubt this, talk to, you know, any Polish, you know, talk to any Russian even, right? Like, here's what you need to understand. It was not necessarily, you know, some new exception. Absolutely, obviously, historically, this was the biggest scale that had ever been seen, an actual extermination attempt on a large scale. But any Jewish person who knows anything about their own history would understand that pogroms, okay, this term, had been happening throughout Europe, throughout Russia, for literal centuries, right? Like these mass, you know, like basically, I guess you could say, okay, these mass murders, let's say, of people of Jewish faith are historically well known, right? And so, obviously, when you start to, you know, bring doubt to the numbers, that the usual path that this goes, okay, as far as I've observed Sneako, Fuentes, these guys, the path that they take is they start doubting the numbers, and then they doubt whether, you know, there was actually a conspiracy to kill this many, right? They'll start talking about how, oh, well, many different types of people died during World War II. Many who we don't talk about and don't care about, okay? And that, as true as that is, it is also just a fact that it was the almost mission statement of, you know, the to exterminate the Jewish population, okay? So I can show you clips of Fuentes undermining this fact real quick.
Nick Fuentes is the future?
Yeah.
Little lapdog Sneako.
The problem globally is shadow banking.
And who's behind it?
Well, we talked about it, Sneako. A lot of Jews. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it's true.
Get on your knees and bark, boy.
I did.
Wait. Do you know who that is? Before this goes viral, I know this is going to look bad on Nick Fuentes. You can see him throwing a Sprite in the In-N-Out, but...
It's really incredible the lengths this guy would go to serve a dude who thinks he's genetically inferior. Just no shame.
I mean, the thing about Hitler is he was an extremely competent leader.
Yeah, he lost the war, bro.
How does it matter what your perspective is? He was evil, right?
I don't know if he was evil. I haven't met the guy.
He killed over 6 million.
But you can look past that and you can look at the good that they have done and you can look at how they push for freedoms. I think that you have the potential to be the future president.
Okay, so it turns out that I actually cut it. But in the rant where Fuentes and Sneako are sitting here, okay? Yeah, Fuentes basically goes on to say, like, the full-blown, like, Fuentes, he is somewhat talented at masking what he's, like, full-blown saying, like, softening the blow or whatever. But he basically goes on, yes, to undermine whether there was actually a targeted attempt to exterminate the Jewish people or whatever. Which there was. Like, this is just a fact, okay? And why is this? Is it just because it was evil? Well, no, it's not just because of that. A big component as to how that managed to actually happen, there's many variables that go into it. Of course, one of them being that there was a history of this kind of, doubt being sowed, obviously, toward this race of people or whatever, religion, whatever the fuck. But the biggest thing, right? Because people always think, oh, that would never happen. That would never happen nowadays. Really believed. This guy actually believed that he was saving the world, that he was bringing about, the master race by basically, trying to exterminate these peoples. Effectively, he was lost in his own sauce. He was absolutely addicted to substances, incredibly resentful person. And what happens when resentment, like murderous intentions and resentment gets systematized and it gets filtered down a system of government? Yes, you get mass murder. Okay, that is the relationship. And so what Sneako is trying to normalize his true intention, whether he knows it or not, because again, keep in mind, he is lost in the sauce to a certain extent. He's a conscious political actor, but he's not fully conscious in the sense that he is lost in his own sauce. Not to take accountability away from him, he knows what he's doing, but, he also believes that he's correct, right? Same with guys like Fuentes. And so, yes, he's trying to normalize dialogue and discussion around this topic of doubting, whether he had a point or not, right? And yeah, I can understand the perverted debate bro mentality where it's like, well, what if he had a point? But it's like, in reality, what are you actually trying to do by, normalizing that discussion? And the answer is obviously trying to, work toward that as a potential reality. Keep in mind, as I lay out in my Sneako video, anti-Semitism, in the vast majority of cases where I see it online, is usually a case where you have an idiot who doesn't want to criticize capitalism, and so they'll project all the, symptoms of capitalism onto, Jewish people, right? And, of course, philosophers like Nietzsche have even outlined in the past that this is basically cope, that it's a situation where you're mad because you're bad, basically. And so, instead of targeting your rage at groups of people and trying to get them killed or, undermine them in whatever way, maybe you should be levying that same criticism toward the actual, system that, you're really complaining about, which is capitalism, right? And so, what I just said is a fact. However it hits your ears, in my opinion, more or less that's just a fact, right? A lot of the times, anti-Semites, their criticisms are much better off being levied at capitalism. Because that's basically what they're complaining about. They're just coping about it. They just want a boogeyman. Or they just want, to manifest the resentment toward an identifiable group of people. which a lot of people do. So, just be aware of that. Just be careful. But anyway, let's see.
Are you hesitating on that one too? Do you not know?
You know the answer to these questions.
What do you say?
He said, you know the answer to these questions.
Yeah.
Well, were you there when, like, Muhammad flew a winged horse to heaven?
What are you talking about?
Were you there? Then how do you know it happened?
Yeah, I don't know if Sneako just doesn't know about that lore, but yes, that's, a part of the Quran.
See, we have to... Things happen, and they're documented historically, and we can't pick and choose what we believe in. Like, if you want to actually go through the evidence and see, like, the meticulous documenting that the Nazis did, they couldn't have kept the records better, but you're going to sit here and say I wasn't there. I mean, you obviously don't believe that you believe the Holocaust was greatly exaggerated. At least admit to that.
Nope, I said it's exactly what they said it was.
It was exactly 6 million, no more, no less.
Okay, and so now he's full-blown coping, right? Basically saying, no, yes, they are exactly correct. He's basically being sarcastic.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And do you still dream about a fellow's eyelashes tickling your balls when you jerk off? Because I bet that felt pretty good.
Say this to my face when I see you.
Why are you mad?
Damn, shit, oh boy. Sneako's trying to maintain frame, but this is such a fucked up angle to try and maintain frame, bro.
Why are you mad? Because I can imagine that felt really good. I mean, okay. I like my balls tickled.
When you look in your wife's eyes and you see that the IDF soldier that's genociding Palestinians, you feel good about that?
Well, it's mandatory conscription, so I mean everybody's.
It's mandatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're with your wife and you see an IDF soldier.
Say what?
You're happy sharing a bed with an IDF soldier that's been out for the Palestinians. That makes you happy.
Well, my wife hasn't killed anybody or participated in like combat, but like I do love my wife. I am
part of the military that's committing genocide right now. You're comfortable sharing a bed.
This is the one moral high ground that Sneako really leverages a lot nowadays, which is his support of the Palestinian plight. Something I agree with. The thing is that he literally leverages it so hard, right? And it's because it's basically like the one, instance where he has a kind of, I guess, a leg up basically against someone like H3 in a way. He doesn't really, but like, what I'm basically saying is that he is using this as an out, right? To basically be like, well, let's talk about this other serious issue, right? Where he is actually kind of, in a way more legitimized frame.
Was somebody who's participating in that?
She hasn't participated in that.
No? She wasn't a part of the IDF?
Well, she was, she was part of the IDF, as all Israelis are. I love my wife, and I'm very proud and happy to share my bed with her. I'm very critical of the Israeli government, though, and I agree it's terrible what's happening there. Do you want to tell me how many Jews died in the Holocaust, or how good it feels to get your balls tickled with eyelashes? Come on, bro, do you know what would be good?
So they're not going to go a layer deeper. Like, I would be curious, man, if they actually did debate, like, would they get to that deeper layer? Probably not.
Next time, bring like
they'll probably just be talking past each other the whole time. But
bird feather, that would be hot as and just tickle the sack with that. That would be really exciting.
Dude, H3's loving this. This is crazy.
All right, you seem upset.
What is going on?
You seem upset. You seem upset. Well, I'll let you go.
Massage right now, but when I see you say all this to my
I'm getting a massage right now. Holy fuck that! I wonder what H3's gonna say about that.
Gonna get a happy ending there or no?
No, I'm not a deviant like you are.
Okay. Oh, I'm not a deviant, Mister. Usually I dab up my boys, but you nut up your boys. You go nut to nut with your boys. All right, here, I'm gonna hand the phone back to Sneako. Enjoy your massage. You're gonna, sorry that you're so mad during your massage. Sorry if I ruined that for you.
No, great, man. I look forward to the debate you're running from.
Well,
So now H3 is running from the debate when in reality Sneako kind of fumbled it, but let's see.
I literally am talking to you on FaceTime right now. I'm very clearly not running from a debate. You're the one that's like, oh, stop asking me questions you know the answers to. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I'm not here to talk about feathers with a 50-year-old man. I'll talk about them now when you're ready.
And that's all you want to talk about.
There's nothing else to talk to you about. You don't stand for anything and you're a fraud.
Okay. Cool.
This is the build-up.
This is crazy.
Brad, take your phone back
Sorry,
before I
let me
walk
get
out
my
of here.
phone back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
All right. Thank you.
he's
I'm
mad.
gonna-
He's upset.
Yeah, he was mad.
Yeah.
He wanted to
bro.
fight me, you
I didn't know the
guys.
tension was that high.
Well,
See,
no,
this is why I don't
because-
like your
No, but here's the thing.
content spaces. Like,
I don't.
that's,
I
that
don't
was
get
uncomfortable.
I don't get upset about Sneako. He doesn't bother me. I just think he's a despicable human being that is the antithesis of like everything I believe in. And
Oh my god. He doesn't care that much about Sneako, but he's definitely my enemy.
that's it. I mean, so like there's certain people that I feel fully warranted to go after. And if his response is like, "Oh, I'm violence," then I mean,
Do you think there's anything good in the things that he talks about?
what good? Well, like for example, what?
The gym. All these guys lean on gym to say that they're setting a good example for the youth.
I don't know. I'm just saying anything that you've seen. Do you think there is good in any of it?
I don't know. Surely.
See, this is the problem, right? Is that H3 does not fight very hard to gain favorability among Sneako's own audience. He doesn't, right? Like a lot of people, this is like I could list a lot that Sneako says on the surface level that's technically good for his audience, right? Like he does encourage, living a relatively healthy lifestyle, even if he doesn't, necessarily live up to that himself. He encourages, fasting, whatever, being disciplined, right? Physically active, all this stuff. But it's like, yeah, H3 isn't going to give him really any charitability because H3 doesn't actually know that much about Sneako. I do believe him when he says he barely gives a fuck, you know what I mean? That's why he's taking these like super surface level frames. And it works. I think it's better, probably, if H3's goal is just to smear Sneako's image to, this within the circles that he's kind of operating in, then yeah, I mean, the surface level shit is probably enough, right? Like, I don't know. But anyway.
Some people get something good. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something good in it, right? Like everybody's got. People wouldn't be listening to him if there wasn't something helpful for somebody. You know? Yeah, probably.
Did you see the conversation that he had with Moist Critical and then the whole like,
Yeah, I wasn't happy with how that went because I felt like Charlie wasn't well prepared to have.
Okay, I'll be honest. I agree. But not just on the recent Charlie conversation. I agree with H3 in regard to even the conversation prior to that. Okay? Like the one like a year and a half ago. I think every time that Charlie has debated Sneako, it's been pretty damn underwhelming. And obviously the recent event where, Charlie it caused like a bit of a media spectacle. It's like, okay, Charlie, obviously, everybody kind of already knows this, but it's like, if you're going to talk to Sneako, right, you should actually be prepared to have, because with a guy like Sneako, he is politically motivated. He is not going to try and have just a conversation with you. He is going to try to entice you into a debate in order to fish some spectacle, right? In order to get a rapturous applause by the potential, from owning you. And that's exactly what happened. Whether, like, Sneako's points were, whatever you want to say, right? At the end of the day, what happened, literally tens of millions, if not almost 100 million people heard about, saw clips of, like engaged with this conversation that Charlie had with Sneako, right? And what does that do? It helps Sneako. It helps his political message massively. It helps, him trying to break into the mainstream, be taken seriously, whatever you would say. And it's like, yeah, dude, you can have these conversations. Just be prepared. Don't be a naive idiot. I think that Moist Critical really thought that that would be a slam dunk conversation, right? And why did he think that? Logically, he thought that because he figured, okay, I'm just going to talk to Sneako, and Sneako is going to say the age of consent shouldn't exist. And that's so easy to counter, right? And then you enter the conversation, and Sneako's debate broing you, and Charlie just like can't basically provide necessarily like a convincing, convincing like logic behind his thing. He's basically just like, it's bad because we all agree it's bad. You know what I mean? And like, he's right, dude, or whatever. Like, I don't disagree with Moist Critical. It's just that when you get in the pig pen, all right, you're gonna get dirty. You're gonna get mud fucking thrown at your face. You're gonna eat some slop, some maybe even. And so yeah, I don't know. This back and forth between H3 and Sneako, I would like to see them have a conversation, but I already know that the most interesting conversation to me would be between myself and Sneako, because I can envision pretty clearly what a conversation between Klein and Sneako would look like. They would quite literally be talking past each other completely, okay? And yes, H3 will provide a lot more pushback than Charlie would be able to, whatever. I do think it would be a better conversation, but I know that H3, because he doesn't actually know that much about Sneako, would not be able to push Sneako in the direction that I necessarily would, right? I don't think that H3 would be able to foil Sneako, or maybe even talk him out of some of his ideas, as well as I could potentially. Yeah, it's a naive to think that I could, whatever. Yes, it is. But you need to keep in mind, right? Destiny has talked about this, okay? People know this, who know anything about, online debates, okay? What are you really doing when you're debating somebody online? You are fighting for their audience. You are not fighting to convince the other person. That's just not how it goes, all right? And so I know personally that if I were to talk to someone like Sneako, that I would be able to win over his audience a lot easier than someone like ethanklein, okay, who just does not have the aesthetics, does not have the frame, and does not have the awareness, honestly, of Sneako and how, deep into the trenches of the ideology he espouses he truly is, right? And how to unpack and untwine that ideology. And so, yes, this would be, my plea, my interest. If Sneako, which he is, in my opinion, in a lot of circumstances, he is a coward, right? Especially when it comes to conversations. He will take conversations with people where he can maintain his frame. And even if he loses the conversation, even if he loses the argument, whatever, he knows that his own audience will stick with him, right? Like, he can debate Destiny and flounder like a and flail. But because he knows that at the end of the day, his audience will not fucking side with blue-haired, bisexual Destiny, right? So yeah, Sneako, my DMs are open, bro. If you decide to unblock me, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you. And here's the thing. Beyond owning you or you owning me or whatever, the battle, beyond the battle, okay? I think that philosophically, it would be very fucking interesting, all right? And that might not sound like much of a pitch, but think about it this way, right? If we talked, and it went well or it went poorly, whatever, it would more or less remain low stakes, right? It's not probably going to make massive news headlines or whatever. And so we might actually have the opportunity to have more of a real conversation than you would ever be able to have with someone like Charlie, someone like H3, right? These people who are tapped in, very, very attuned to the mainstream. They have to maintain their frame. You have to maintain yours. I don't know. You claim to be someone who's interested in having real conversations. I can give you a very real conversation, okay? I can certainly allow or help you confront the real, okay? What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe reach out and ask me. Because, yeah, if there's one problem that I have, which, you know, I'm thankful for, but it definitely limits my ability to make videos. It's that I truly do try to not be a surface level thinker, okay? Whatever that sounds like. That probably sounds like a nerd emoji energy, but it's true. If there's one indulgence that I really just revel in, I love it. It's my ability to have real conversations with people. So yeah, that's pretty much my offer. You want to have one of the most interesting conversations you've probably had in a long time? Hit me up. I'm sure you won't regret it. But yeah. How you doing in the back there? You good? He's good. Hey Sneako, you remember this guy? I sent you this guy in the mail, bro. Do you want a new one? I know you threw out the other one because you thought there was a camera inside of it. Here, bro, look. There's no cameras in here. There's no camera. You paranoid freak. There's certifiably no surveillance technology in these little fellas, all right? If you would like one, Sneako, I'll provide you a free one if you would like, okay? I know times are tough.